Hey, good morning. Well, it's not a super early morning. It's around 8 o'clock. And in true me fashion, I thought I had my camera rolling. So I charred my basswood bowl. And two reasons. One, the pigment I ordered is on back order. I'm not sure when I'm going to get it. So I decided to do something slightly different. And I haven't done a burnt bowl in a while. These typically turn out pretty cool. You char them before you take all your carve marks out. On the outside, once you char it like this, you don't need to sand it a lot. But you want to sand it enough that the color starts to come back out. We also want to try and save a bunch of this charcoal. And I will show you why here in just a minute. All right, so again, we want to save as much of this charcoal soot as we can, because where I don't have pigment, we will use this as the pigment when we go to seal up those cracks. It does work all right. You're not going to get the same color consistently that you do using pigment, but virtually the rule here is sand it until you get a color you like. There we go. So you can see that's starting to change a little bit. I typically sand until it starts to show the grain. Basswood's typically not very appealing when it comes to like grain structure or color. So this is one wood species that I would say is all right to try to do some cover up work with, or hopefully I can get to a spot here where it'll show a little bit better. But like I said, it just gives it a slightly more in-depth color dynamic. If you want to leave some spots really charred, that's okay too. If you want to leave some uncharred, that's okay too. Like I said, I don't really pull one way or the other on a lot of this stuff, other than I sand it until I think I've got a nice enough look, I guess. When we get to the point of filling in our crack here, you are going to want an air compressor or something that you can blow as much dust and debris out of there as possible. It will definitely help. Like I said, try to save that soot because we'll use that with our glue. Make our wood fill for that crack. And like I said, I'm not going to try to sand everything all the same. I'm trying to bring some depth of color into this basswood. Basswood really don't have a lot of flair to it at all. It's pretty bland. But it is an easy to carve and relatively fun to carve wood. Alright. So we've got our sawdust here. I'm going to put some regular plain Jane sawdust in there. Alright, so for this piece, I'm going to leave a lot of this carving in here and just going to knock the char down. And it should put some depth in this inside too. And like I said, it does add a little texture, some color. We are going to leave the inside of this bowl rather rough and chipped like that, just because I kind of like the way that looks. Don't use your chisels as scrapers. They do work as scrapers, but don't do it. You can tell we are getting into the holiday season. I am not typically the biggest fan of holidays. feel like the holiday season has gotten completely away from what it's supposed to be. Everybody's competing to see who can do more for whoever, and nice. We typically, compared to most people I know, set a relatively modest budget on what we do for the holiday season for people. Present wise, like like if our kids need something, we get it when they need it usually. Short of birthdays and Christmas, we don't really, go out and buy them. I say toys. They're both kind of outgrowing the toy thing. We let them buy their own toys with the money they earn from working on the farm or their animals. I think parents often get lost in that, I want to do better for my kids than what I had. Well, toys are not what makes a childhood. What makes a good childhood is having parents that care about you and that kind of stuff. You don't, just because your kid wants to have the latest and greatest fashion doesn't mean they need it. Or just because there's a new Xbox out or a new gaming system out that they need to have it. Is that stuff nice? Absolutely. But it's not necessary. And that's, I think that is one thing we try to push with the girls, with our girls, is you don't have to have the latest and greatest. You don't have to have the newest. And it is not that we don't want them to have fun things. Like I've bought them Nintendo Switches for Christmas a couple years ago. And that is pretty much what we do, is we pick one thing that the kids wanted within a certain budget frame, and that's what we get them for Christmas. We don't tend to go crazy with it just because don't need to. My oldest is getting now where she's more interested in, I don't know, like her sewing machine, her crochet stuff, books, than she is with toys. Although she does still like that Nintendo Switch she's got. Like I said, you don't have to buy your kids everything. They don't have to have everything. And if they throw a tantrum because you don't get them something, you have already gotten them too much. That's my take on it. But I joke about it, saying I was very fortunate to grow up in a poor family, because I don't know. I would much rather have friends and family around that enjoy my company than having friends and family around that enjoy the stuff I get them, I guess. All right. I'm going to shut you guys off for just a second. And I said I'm going to grab my air compressor stuff and blow these cracks out, and I'll show you how I make my glue pigment.